All right. Hey, everyone. Just wanted to hop on here real quick to talk about the latest chapter, chapter 1156. I just read it probably like 30 minutes ago. I don't really have too much to say because I feel like not a lot happened here, but chapter kind of felt more like build-up. And that build-up is being for what I think God Valley, which is the whole point of this flashback. It started off as a Herald flashback, but I feel like we're getting exposition towards the eventual climax of God Valley and why it's so important to the story. This will also emphasize the importance of Elbaf. We already know Elbaf is important, but getting the kind of the bridge of Herald and Elbaf to God Valley and all the characters that are present in the God Valley flashback is going to be integral to the story before moving forward, at least in my opinion. So we have this going on right now. Again, like I said, not too much happened in the chapter itself. It was more so exposition, build up, and other small little details that we we get to see through the chapter. For example, you get to see the Kuja pirates, who are probably 2 generations removed, because these are the old Kuja pirates. You get to see Gloriosa in her prime before she joins Rocks. You get to see Shaki in her prime. You get to see the Roger pirates probably a little bit before their prime, but still seasoned veterans for sure. So that was cool. It was nice to see. One thing I really did appreciate though is that you get to see Roger, who, mind you, has had so many consistent parallels to Luffy in the story, but you get to see Roger in a new light almost. I'm not going to say an entirely new light, but you get to see some of the nuances of his character from Luffy's, where you get to see him attracted to females. Luffy doesn't really have that. Luffy's not really attracted to anything besides his dream. So like there's small differences there between them, which is good to see. I think it's good to see for the story. It makes Roger more of his own little thing instead of some ghost passed down, right? We also see Garp. He pulls up on them. That's nice. I do like Roger and Garp's dynamic. I do think it's also going to be something that changes throughout this flashback some. Maybe not through the flashback, but as we get more and more of their relationship, because right now it's on site. Roger was trying to dip when the Marines pulled up. He learned that it was Garp. He turned that ass around because it's on site. There's a deeply embedded beef there. So it's going to be interesting how that changes throughout their course of the story. We've been introduced to Herald. He was thrown in the story. It segued to Loki, which then segued to Rocks, and now we're introducing Roger, and we got a little bit of Garp. So all of this is kind of coming together at this central point. And we are also, you go back to Rocks, he's talking about 2 fruits that he needs. I imagine that these fruits are probably going to be a pivotal part in the God Valley flashback. So it's like all these little crumbs that we're getting. It's hard to not believe that this is what it's going to lead to. We're introduced to this one character, Kyo, the Wicked, future Silver Axe. I don't know what any of this means. Not a clue. What I can infer, though, I've already seen some people talking about this, but it's almost like Kyo grew in size from when he was first shown to like his actual panel introduction. So he's probably got a devil fruit. I think actually he might have Rouge's devil fruit, because I'm pretty sure Rouge, that it's the same thing. It does the same thing. One thing though with him, I thought he looked very familiar to a Kainu. When I first saw him, when I first flipped to the page, it looked like a Kainu. Just from the facial features, the physical features. He's got like this kimono. He's got this tattoo on his ribs and chest. There's just a lot of very weird glimpses that I got. Not weird glimpses, but there's just like quick glimpses I got of him that made me think it was Akainu. Of course, this is probably also pivotal because I think whatever happens on God Valley, this is my theory, whatever happens on God Valley is the main motivation for what Akainu does in the current story. So keep that in mind. I think Kyo is going to be important one way or another. I don't think we've heard of anything about this character before. It's also not that deep. It's just a cool looking character. So we have that. He shows up. And then like the rest of the chapter, you know, it feels like a pretty short chapter because we only bounce from like 3 different places. We start with Roger, go back to Elbaf very briefly, and there's nothing to really talk about there besides Loki's continued motivation to join Rox's crew. I feel like that kind of emphasizes his character though a little more, even though we kind of already knew that, right? So there's that, and then we jump to Pirate Island where Kyo's introduced, and then Rox talks about some devil fruits that he's after. Point blank, period. I feel like that's all there kind of is to it. We could theorize that whatever devil fruit that Rox is after that he wants Harold to eat, I'm pretty sure that's the fruit Loki has right now. I feel like the connection between Harold, Loki, Rox, that kind of just makes sense. Loki probably has that devil fruit, and whatever it is, it's like a game changer. That's what Rox like really makes it seem like it's a game changer. So I don't know what it could be. My idea is that obviously you need to be like ancient blood or ancient giant blood to be able to like bring the maximum potential of this fruit out. So it probably has something to do with that. I can't imagine it makes you grow in size. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Only because ancient giants are already much larger than anyone else. So to have a fruit that makes you get even bigger, like I guess is entirely possible. But I feel like the way this specific fruit has been hyped up since the beginning of Elbaf, I feel like it has to be something a little more than just like growing. So there's that to think about. I don't really want to think about it. And then there's the second fruit that Rox is after. Now I'm assuming that since he's after 2 fruits, one he wants to give to Harold, the other is for himself. This leads me to the assumption that Rox doesn't have a devil fruit. Plain and simple. And whatever fruit he's after is the one he's been holding out for this fruit specifically. Now what it could be, it literally could be anything. It could be Luffy's fruit. It could be the Yami Yami no Mi. It could be Law's fruit. It could be the Paw Paw fruit. Like there's so many different fruits that it could be that it's just like I don't know. I don't want to think about it either. I honestly want to just be surprised for when it's revealed from what fruit it is, because once we know which fruit that Rox wants, the importance for that fruit grows that much more. It doesn't matter which fruit it is. It could be Law's fruit. Law's fruit is already extremely important in the story. But if Rox wanted it, boom, it shoots up like tenfold of importance. Because it's like endgame importance. Same with Luffy's fruit. Luffy's fruit is already like the most important fruit. I don't think there's a more important fruit in the story. But if that's the fruit that Rox wanted, so whatever that second fruit that he wants is, that's the one I'm keeping my eye on. There's a really nice spread at the end of the chapter with all of them. I really like that. That's good. That's great. That is great. It doesn't feel like how it used to feel, where everyone was like, oh my god, like Kaido and Big Mom and Whitebeard were on this crew and there was rocks and they were really crazy. It feels more like a recontextualization for the crew. At least more than we've heard before, right? Like, we're getting to see them all in their glory. It doesn't necessarily feel the same as from when it was being talked about from different perspectives. We're seeing it from their perspective. And like, it doesn't feel as evil as people made it out to be. Like, clearly Rox, as a character, has like malicious intentions. He wants to overthrow the world, but it just doesn't feel like the same villainous concept that people like made it to be in their heads. There's moments throughout this flashback where he's very characterized by his actions and his words, right? And that's just cool to see. That is how the chapter ends. So there's no break next week, which is good. I'll be ready for the next chapter, because the holdout on the last one, with a whole fucking break in between, which I know happens all the time, but like breaks right now feel so much worse than they do before. I could deal with a break before, but what's happening right now, I cannot afford waiting. I need all of this. Alright, y'all. See you.